So you can all hear me now. It's getting very silent now. And I can see that the recording has started. Thank you, Ingrid. Welcome everybody today on our first meeting of the World Campus in September this fall and the new cycle. I therefore called it 2-1, so the second cycle and the first meeting. I'm so happy that you're all here. We are meeting pretty shortly after our retreat in Amsterdam. So I think this will influence a lot the way the meeting will happen today. I see Ezra waving to Gada.
I'm sorry, I missed something. Sorry, Jan.
It's okay. There's no worries. I just opened the meeting.
Hello, everybody.
And I see Ezra waving to you and Beatrice. And Fiorella.
I'm looking right and left because the screen to me, I'm talking to people on my screen.
Yes,
Hi, everybody. So good to see you.
Hi.
And this is
Hi, Rada.
Anna.
Hi.
Go ahead. I know 3 o'clock means Jan has to start the meeting. So yes, all ready to go.
Yes, and we also started the recording. So that's why so many people had been put it on mute. But welcome. We just go on. I have sent you the itinerary. There also have been some small changes in the itinerary, especially in the introduction. This is always a little bit of a improvisation because I'm not always entirely sure who is there and who isn't. We have Esri here today, so I will ask Esri to introduce herself. I had also expected Chris Curtis to be here today, but he isn't because of a funeral. There is Beatrice, who I would like to introduce herself. We all know Beatrice, but I do like to introduce yourself briefly, make something new out of it. And I'm wondering, is also Noor there? Peter, have you? No, Peter, Noor is not there?
Noor is not yet. No, not yet. Okay. I will chase her.
So I also always should ask, do I miss anyone who I should introduce? I haven't seen Amruta either. Is that correct? Yes. So let's start. Esri, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, guys. Hello.
We can hear you.
Hello.
Okay. I'm very happy to be with you today. And I guess like a couple of days ago, my introduction went on your website, and I'm very proud of it. And I shared it on all my social media. And a lot of people were happy for this news to be part of Inspire2Live. So thank you for having me. I'm Isra. And as I said or mentioned in my introduction, my name means journey by night. And actually, I have a big share of my name since my advocacy journey has started. It's very long and it's very difficult and challenging, but it fits my personality because I'm a risk taker and I'm very passionate about advocacy. This is my 12th year working in advocacy, and I went through a lot of training and education. And I was very, very lucky because I consider myself the only one in Egypt who had a lot of opportunity to learn what advocacy is. But still, I have a huge mission is to introduce what advocacy is in Egypt. And I guess Ghada will support me or will join me in my journey in this. But hopefully we will get to something strong very soon. That's all.
Okay. Thank
you.
Wonderful.
Welcome to us.
Thank you. I hope to be a value added for you, and I hope to, bring something new to the group.
Yes. So we will come back to you in the program when we talk about the work that is going on in Egypt, and where I give Gada the word, and then Gada and you can speak together, I think, on behalf of Egypt as one of our hubs. But let me now move on to Beatrice. Beatrice, would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much.
I am a new addition, and I'm very proud to be added to Inspire2Live. I enjoyed every minute that I was with you at the conference. I'm a breast surgeon, and in a country where you have more than 60% of patients coming late to the hospital. So about almost 20 years ago, I started the Breast Care International as a non-governmental organization to educate the people, because lack of awareness sometimes even kill more than the disease itself. So to educate the people, to demystify breast cancer, which is thought to be caused by witchcraft and being a spiritual disease, and to try to also get more survivors who would share their story and reduce the stigma and the fear surrounding breast cancer. In doing all this, we hope to reduce the stage at which people come to the hospital and increase the survival rate of breast cancer. At a point, we also formed the Survivor Association, which goes around to show the fact that they could come out of breast cancer despite the belief that you cannot defeat breast cancer. I happen to be the CEO of the Peace and Love Hospitals, which is based in Accra and Kumasi, the two major cities, even though most of our activities are in the rural community where a lot of people need our help most. I also happen to be the chairperson of the Ghana Non-Communicable Disease Alliance, using the breast cancer platform to talk about other cancers like cervical cancer, prostate cancer, and also hypertension and diabetes, which are killing a lot of people because we don't have any screening in place, So in doing this, we bring health care to the people as a package. So this has been the journey for about 2 decades, and a lot of challenges are still ahead of us. I hope to bring on board some small experiences that we've had through our journey and to see what we can achieve together, because I believe in collaborative efforts. And so collaborative research, collaborative experiences, and what we can do in our journey ahead of us. So once again, thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure first meeting Peter and Jan, and also meeting the big group. And let me chip in here that I'm learning a lot from you. And when Perella introduced me to the Costa Rica, group who have been doing a lot in the area of volunteerism. We are still learning. We couldn't finish it in one setting. We are going to have a second Zoom meeting to learn. So I'm here to learn, and if there's something that any of the members want to also pick from us, we are ready to share. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Beatrice. And what I have gathered from you, both Ezra and Beatrice, is that there is a lot to learn from you, both of you. So I think in the very near future, we should make sure that we intensify the exchanges with you both outside these regular meetings, because there is so much that you have already done, and I would love this information and the skills and the competences to be shared among all the people in the World Campus. So be assured that we make that possible.
Thank you.
Okay, we now move to a section that relates to the retreat that we had already a long time ago, right? Like ages ago. it was a very special meeting. I want to share with you my perspective and then move on to a free format. This was the first time in my life that I had a hybrid meeting and was leading it as a chair, having about 15 people locally and then another 30 globally. I must say it was kind of, taking a lot from my two sides of my brain. I really had to make it a cooperative thing here in my head because, you are both locally present and feeling the vibrations of the people, and you have to take into account similarly all the people everywhere. I was really happy by how it went, and I'm really interested in your reflections. So I was thinking of a free format where I want to give you people here today the possibility to share with you some reflections. And I'm particularly interested in two topics. So, and if any else, you please bring them in. But I'm really interested in what you thought about how this is from a distance when you have a location somewhere with 15 people or 10 or 12, I don't know, and others in other locations globally. And the reason why I'm asking it is because I think, hey, maybe this is a format that we could do more often, and say we have then a meeting in Costa Rica or in Ghana or in Egypt of about 10 to 15 people, and we connect it globally. So that's what I would like to hear from you. And I'm also very much interested in if you see improvements. And any other thing, please just share them. So who wants to jump in first?
I always jump in, so I I think we were very lucky. I mean, the ones who were definitely present on site were very lucky. However, we really felt that the group that joined us from everywhere in the world showed incredible. I mean, they were present. How wonderful is that? We didn't just close upon ourselves just because we were on site. So definitely the positives of having everybody log in globally and contribute this much is awesome. And I second your opinion that we could do this more often. So yes, definitely. We had a great time in Amsterdam on all levels. Of course, we were able to hug like we intended, so we did do that. But definitely we wanted everybody there, and it was a great compromise. I must say it was just not having done it would not have been my ideal scenario, but having done it, I find it was perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Gada, very clear. So basically what you're also saying, if there would be a meeting in Egypt and Cairo, we might do that.
I think we can pull it off, but you remember that we had a very, very amazing technical team as well. So the technical team as well, who, Maureen and Ingrid, when they facilitate something like this, and they're so on top of things with ideas and with the execution of ideas, like when we did the voting, that was, you have to have a really savvy technical team behind you, yeah. And I'm sure we can, Isra. Couldn't we? We can have a great technical team as well. Egyptians are quite good at that. So we can, yeah.
Yes, I just informed that Guido how much an owl cost. You need the equipment that listens to the one who is speaking, and so that can be our standard equipment when we travel.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Can I give the word to Beatrice? I see your hands raised.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to say that for me, for example, post-COVID, this was my first time of travel, and was a bit skeptical to travel. So now we have to take advantage of COVID and what we can do. And this kind of meeting, this hybrid kind of meeting, even though maybe a bit costly, it might be cheaper if you are organizing a conference for 1,000 or 2,000 people. So this is something that I think we should embrace, especially those of us in the low and middle income countries, so that we have a team who will come and then people would listen to it from other countries. Organizing this kind of meeting might be less costly than if you are doing a very big conference. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beatrice. Yeah, I felt that you do have the excitement of people together, which, you know, affects, for example, the presentation a lot. You see somebody presenting in a different way if there is a public locally. And at the same time, this is then sent out globally, right? Anyone else who wants to comment? I'm making notes here, so I'm very interested in what you think. Peter?
You know me, I don't think.
Act.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I was very skeptical of the hybrid conference, but I think I changed my opinion on that. And what Beatrice says I think is very, very true. We can make it available for many people this way. So, and then we can organize kind of a traveling circus around the world, with sometimes a bigger audience present, sometimes a smaller audience, but always put these owls in front of us so that people can see and hear us very well. Yeah. So that's I think I'm not sure, but I think I changed my opinion on hybrid sessions.
But Barbara and Mark, for example, can you tell us how you felt? You know, did you feel like it was nearly present, 100% there, or how did you feel? I don't know how the room looked to you even.
We sensed what you were getting out of it. We didn't feel 100% part of it. We were missing being there terribly. So, you know, that's something I must say. But I think you can achieve a lot from it. But it depends what you're trying to achieve. Because it doesn't necessarily involve every single person. And I think that reflected on the second day when you lost many people. So that has to be thought about and questioned. Why? Was it purely because the people had other engagements already, because 2 days running is difficult for many working people? Or was it because they didn't feel 100% part of it? But certainly we could sense the enthusiasm. We thought it was wonderful, the presentations, and it was great that we could be listening to that. We wondered whether we might have been part of more of the day, where some of the discussions were going on, you know, rather than just the presentations, which could have been recorded perhaps and listened to later on. Okay. Sorry.
Yes, we enjoyed our day with everyone.
Yes.
But we didn't feel quite so connected as we'd have liked to have been. But of course that's going to happen, because you're only limited to what you can say in a very short time.
Yes. So you have here a clear point of improvement that I think we should discuss and also think through how to do this better.
I think the assumption we made was that we have an audience from Shenzhen till San Francisco. So we thought, well, we do it like this between 3 and 5 p.m. But what we probably could have done better is simply put it open for the one who wanted to join. And if someone wants to rise early at 5 or 4 a.m., well, then do it, you see. But so I think our assumption was, our assumption can be improved. Yeah. Simply put it open for the ones who want to join early or late, and not think for other people. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So my impression was also that the fact that the owls actually functioned so well,
yeah,
has given us the insight that this is doable. I mean, we were not at all interfered with by the presence of the two owls. So basically, you could have a meeting the whole day, and the owls just follow us. I don't know if you have seen it, but I made myself into a laughing somebody to laugh about when I tried to follow the owl and the camera by walking towards it. So I had to get used to it myself. But yeah, it is indeed something which is so flexible and apparently also following people so well that that it's doable to let it run the whole day. So I think this is definitely a possibility. So thank you so much for this comment, Barbara and Mark. Anyone else would like to?
Can I follow up with Barbara and Mark's, because I think this is something that is that maybe I kind of felt, and that's why I posed the question. Not only the presence, but are you referring, maybe I'm reading your mind, but are you referring also to the interactiveness? Or yeah, okay.
Yes, we missed that, being there in that part of it.
So is there a way that the global audience could have not contributed, but joined in more, in your opinion?
Possibly, yes. Even if it was just if it became too technical for such a length of time, maybe if we just had an audio, so that we could listen and interact by whatever means, like we're doing now, even, you know? Maybe.
Just asking people's opinions and getting the discussion going in that way is I think, a better way than everybody clicking buttons and just answering a few questions.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll come back to that. And maybe it's also good to share something in writing, like, hey, this is the way to do it. It's good to have a kind of, best practice, it is often called, on how to plug things in and how to be connected. Anyone else to have a comment, or should I wrap this part of the session up? No more? So thank you so much. I'm very happy with your comments. As Peter indicated, it was for us really, a bit like this, like, let's just see how it works. This is not meant to stop the recording, Ingrid, my finger raised. Just to make sure. So it was, I think, also a good experiment that taught us a lot. Okay, so we end this part of the agenda, and I now want to move to a very important and very exciting part of this today's World Campus meeting. I have asked Fiorella to present her work that she is very intensely involved in at Inspire2Live, and now today the World Campus. I do want to say something about the title. Fiorella is looking for a name for her project. So I stuck to open source pharma, but if any one of you has a brilliant idea regarding how to rename this project, just send it around. So Fiorella, the floor is to you.
That is actually a great way to start, Jan-Gerrit. So if you get inspired throughout and you want to brainstorm, just write them down and send it to me, and we'll make it part of the thinking process. So just to be sure, I asked Ingrid if she could help me share the screen, because what happens to me sometimes is that it gets stuck on my side, although people see it move along. So Ingrid, thank you so much. It's coming up. Is that the first one?
Yes, I think so.
Oh no, it's not the right, because I have. Ingrid, is that the first slide?
Yes.
So I didn't send you the right presentation. Let me
just send
me the right one.
Yeah.
So send her the right presentation, Pierella, and we can talk a little bit. So I just let me just tell you a little bit about Pierella presenting her work at a World Campus retreat. I think we did record it, but it was a very long presentation plus discussion, and it was mainly in Dutch, if I remember correctly. So yes, we kept it kind of local, and it was also very much a brainstorm on how to proceed with this project, which is very promising, but will require huge changes in the way healthcare is organized, which Pierella will tell you about. And quite a few people within our organization are very active in it.
It's all part of the presentation, Jan-Gerrit, don't jump the gun.
Okay.
Sorry.
Who are part of it. Just that I'm very interested also in what was the impact of the brainstorm on the presentation you gave us today. So my guess is, and that's what I wanted to say, that the presentation of today is a more mature and more, how do you say, a more further developed presentation from the one you gave.
Yeah, it's certainly, and actually one of the great ideas came also from you as to how we pitch the project. You know, the level of elements that are included and everything. Ingrid, the first slide, I just sent you one, and the first slide should say the World Campus. So it should be today's date. Is that the one you received?
Yes.
Ah, so that's the right presentation.
Here we go.
Let me go. That's great. So I'm happy you got it. Sorry for the delay, guys. It's actually on me. Okay, so I didn't say anything now in the review session of the opportunity we had to get together a couple of weeks ago, Jan-Gerrit, because I actually, as a result of that, got inspired and I bought this the past few days. And the reason why I want to be looking at it is because I was so re-energized to think of all the countries where people are so active and fighting the good cause for patients. It just gives me so much hope. So every time I will look at my globe, I will think of you doing the beautiful work you do for cancer patients. So you give me a good reason to want to look at the globe. Thank you for the hope and inspiration you give me. And the fact that we came together in a hybrid way was it was re-energizing to see you on the screen, but to see you also in person. And the ones who were in person did not escape my hugs, as will not do the ones when I get to see them in a new opportunity. So that was a fantastic opportunity to get together. So next slide, please, Ingrid. So I think the update Jan-Gerrit shared with us yesterday, or the one that we circulated in our social media, was a very timely one to talk about the Open Source Pharma Initiative, a working title, because in that update, Jan-Gerrit, and I won't go too much into it, please, for the ones who haven't, have a look at the update. He goes in a little bit about Inspire2Live, about what we do with a World Campus, but it also introduces Inspire2Go, which is actually one of the, say, the departments of Inspire2Live, that of Inspire2Live. I don't know exactly how I should explain that, but it's actually the intent that we have, that we are going to fulfill other roles, that we want to take our projects further, and we need to find ways to be more entrepreneurial, to be able to generate more execution power to support all of our ideas. So I would very much recommend it, because this project I will tell you about falls under those categories of this idea that generated within Inspire2Live. And then we have been peer reviewing it as a group, and then it has become a concrete project. It is part of that transition. So it's a little bit the one very good viable project that comes from this story that Jan Gerrit shared with us in the update. So next slide, please. So in that regard, going back to the entrepreneurial part and thinking about how do we make ourselves sustainable? How do we find ways that we can become part of these ideas, but keep a sustainable element to those ideas for us to keep involved, but also to generate funds? Because now more than ever, we have that motivation to want to go global with our support. All this innovation should be available for patients everywhere. And this is very much the way we look at it. So the people at Inspire2Live who have been maturing this idea, of course, is Peter. Peter is very much involved, and we've been working together on maturing this idea, but also our fellow patient advocate, Thilo Jongmans, and Herman Otten, who is looking at the policy side, and Henk van Kranen, who's also on this call, who looks at more of the technical side. And increasingly, as the project evolves, of course, the roles become a little bit more intense, or the level of involvement of each person changes. So Ilona is also on the call, and she has been a great support and guidance and sounding board as we have been maturing the process. So a group of us has been thinking about this and evolving this idea. So if we go to next slide, please. And the seed was planted. I think it all becomes really familiar for you guys. And if we circulate these slides, you can just click on this and it will take you to the session where Jay Kumar Menon is explaining how his initiative, his open source pharma organization started, the one our colleague Nivedita is part of. And very important here is that he poses the thought that we perhaps all already feel, that the pharmaceutical model of how we get the treatments is really not working. It's certainly not working if you look at it from the patient perspective. So there are new ways in which we can try to stimulate the innovation to get to us. I very much recommend it to watch it back. But the seed was planted there. He was explaining he was not focused on oncology. So it was a way for us to work together, to think about how do we use this approach for the oncology setting, which is a very complicated one, and it will become increasingly clear with the different elements. So if we go to next slide, please. Yeah, so the sense that the pharmaceutical model is not working for us, it's very clear when you hear that patients need to fit in the inclusion criteria of a trial. What is that? I mean, drugs should meet the inclusion criteria for us. And this is one of the elements that we're thinking. And plus, cancer is a very complicated disease. We cannot just look at one target and expect a magic bullet. We've known for a long time this is not a magic bullet element. So with the increasing amount of opportunity from innovation in precision medicine, we have an opportunity to personalize more that precision approach of science and technology. And so we need to shift that paradigm from drug-centric, you know, this is a drug, this is a compound, and I'm going to look a bunch of people that can benefit from these drugs, to here is the patient. This is the point of departure. We're going to look at all the compounds that can help this patient get their disease under control. So, and not only to forging treatment or treatment combinations, but also how we monitor, how we keep this disease under control through all the developments in science and technology. So we need a shift of that paradigm, which is very drug-centric, which is a very, it's a product-centric approach to a more personalized approach. Next slide, please. So how do we plan to do that? As you know, the core philosophy of Inspire2Live is that the relationship between patients, clinicians, and researchers is crucial. Researchers have that creativity to bring in this new knowledge to understand where our opportunities lie. The clinician is then able to determine whether this is a way they want to treat their patients, whether they deem it also safe, and look at the situation of each individual of their patients and have that autonomy to say, okay, if science and technology provide me with this opportunity, this is the way I want to treat my patient, and let go of that protocol stepways which we treat the average patients, and this average patient doesn't exist. So it gives the clinician that autonomy, and of course it presents the patient with the right to use their self-determination to say, this is my reality, this is the potential outcomes I face, and am I willing to receive this, which is within a couple of months probably not working, and most of the people facing my situation will die, to tailor to my situation, maybe we can try to discover other avenues. So that relationship becomes sort of the philosophy upon which we build any application of the knowledge of innovation in science and technology. And it has to do with artificial intelligence, with diagnostic technologies, with drug screening technologies, with mathematical game theory. I mean, we have so many more opportunities to attack this complex problem. And we need to coordinate those efforts if we want to move away from that one silver bullet that is very product-centric. Next slide, please. So I actually went into this one in the previous slide. So this is what we're trying to facilitate and have. It was one of the observations Jan Gerrit did during our meeting. It's actually an infrastructure, because as you know, we're patient advocates. We are not trying to promote any product, but we are trying to facilitate an infrastructure that allows this relationship to be optimized. Next slide, please. And as I said, so what does it mean, this more philosophical idea? How do you translate that into practice? How would it work to set up this infrastructure? Well, we shift this paradigm through a patient-centric approach, which is the point of departure is the patient. We have a patient. From this patient, we can collect biofluids. We can have the samples to send for analysis. So we do a comprehensive omics testing approach where we do whole genome sequencing, whole exome sequencing. We use drug screening because some of these ex vivo models are actually very good models to predict how a patient will respond to a particular treatment or combination of treatments. We of course use the artificial intelligence because we already know a lot of these markers, which pathways they are having an impact on and how they are acting on the disease. And we are also talking to one of our partners who's doing also functional profiling of these compounds, where we know why this compound is acting and where is it acting. So we can monitor also that disease. We have all these new technologies with biofluids, especially with liquid biopsy, where we can monitor the disease also next generation sequencing from all of these materials. And of course, one important aspect to our initiative is that we create learning feedback loops. So all of these different elements are carried out by different companies or academic centers. Then we compile it in this database, and we make this database available so that exponentially we can learn what is going on from us facilitating this infrastructure. What are we learning? What are we seeing happen in patterns of this personalized precision approach? And then we find the right channels to make it available. Next slide, please. And just so, this is actually, it was an idea, it's not a parallel. Some of these events happen at the same time, so it's not sequential. There's not first this, for that. Some of the elements happen at the same time, so it's a very dynamic situation. And how do we sort of want to instrumentalize this proof of concept? Well, that self-determination has to be by building an informed consent, which we've never seen, where we really explain the outlook and we also see what are the chances, what do we find, do you understand that all these technologies are there, so really feel like you are in a relationship with somebody who feels this is really an informed consent, that it's for them, and it's not just to check the box that the companies cannot be sued or something like that. It's really about that and that engagement for shared decision making. The state-of-the-art diagnostic technologies are about these ex vivo patients where you have organoids, where you have organ on a chip, where you have tissue, where you have the opportunity to test these drugs outside of the body of the patient. So some of these models work better for certain types of disease, and so that's why it's not organoids for everybody, but tissue culture for some indications. So it gets a little technical, but the general idea is that we can use a lot of those technologies, and those technologies are there. So why? So how do we choose that focus? We choose that focus by determining 3 indications, and that's cancer of unknown primary, glioblastoma, and pancreatic cancer. And why do we choose these? Is because there is little innovation, there is little interest to bring innovation for these rare cancers or these conditions where there is not a lot of improvement or innovation over the past decades. And it gives us a focus to provide opportunity for these patients who have very limited opportunities at the moment. We are aiming to set up a trial for this proof of concept with these different elements. And we really, really want to provide this as a primary treatment option, preferably. But potentially in some of the cases, second line is also a viable opportunity. However, we do not consider that it is fair on patients to exhaust them with 3rd, 4th, 5th lines of treatments before we start to use all these innovations, because a lot of this whole genome sequencing, whole exome sequencing doesn't even happen firsthand. So these patients are already exhausted, and then by the third round of regimen, they find out maybe they have other potential avenues to treat their disease with the technology that was already available. So we need to start as early as possible to give these opportunities to patients to choose new treatments that may provide them with a different avenue than what the protocol offers, which is not very much in the case of these 3 indications. We're going for all registered compounds, so we're not just looking at these new medicines that are costing, you know, tens of thousands of dollars per patient per year, simply because it's not affordable. As Peter Cole said, we are working for, the industry is working for 1.2 or 1.8 billion people, but what about the rest? We will not have access to these expensive medicines in low and middle income countries. So it's very important that we look at compounds that have already been deemed safe and effective for another application, and see if there is a new application for a patient with a particular characteristic in their disease. So we're not going blind. We are using a lot of computational power. We're using a lot of innovative models to choose from these compounds. And perhaps during the discussion we can zoom in later, but there are cheaper compounds that act on specific targets like chlorambucil and BRCA mutated patients. And chlorambucil is a very cheap drug, so not everybody has to pay that price tag of olaparib. So all these innovations are really important to treat the global patient in an innovative way. Next slide, please. And this then becomes the toolbox. So the infrastructure that we provide is going to be a toolbox that merges different technologies. And these are the partners that are working on those technologies. In the Netherlands, for example, one of our partners is the Hardwick Medical Foundation. And we are discussing with them if we set up a trial to do this proof of concept, will they do the whole genome, whole exome sequencing? And they have agreed. We have not yet formalized with contracts. As you can see, we're aiming for a public and private partnership as we're talking with Illumina and IQVIA, which are big companies as well. And IQVIA has a lot of experience in setting up trials, and they have a huge data infrastructure that can be very useful. We are talking with academic laboratories that have perfected several innovative ways, like the tissue culture and in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. Organ on a chip, we're talking to a company in the UK, the organoids. There's a hub for organoids here in the Netherlands. So we are talking with all these different people who can do the analysis, the drug profiling. We're talking to an American company that is called Genetic Networks, and it's supported by Leland Hartwell, and he has done work on yeast to see how different proteins behave, and identify bigger molecules that are working in a particular way, that the cell behaves in a way. So we can say, well, these are the potential drugs because they are actually working on this function, and we are learning as well why these treatments will be working. So for the mathematical game theory, we've been talking to Katarina Stankova from the Technical University in Delft in the Netherlands. So all of them are a coalition of the willing, if you will. To set up this proof of concept. Next slide, please. So we're still investigating some of the aspects. How about how do we know how a registration works for a compound that has new applications? How do we look at the reimbursement of these technologies? Do we go for looking at these technologies individually, Or do we look for a way to incentivize the pathway? That's the work of Herman Otten, and the work of the registration is the work of Peter. The creation of different feedback loops for the management of disease. This is with all our partners who hold the databases. And monitoring the progress, and this is looking at the new technologies and how we use these technologies, and this is some work that Henk van Kranen and I will also look at. How can we bring in this, liquid biopsies for the different purposes at the different stages. So we are very much looking into all of that at the moment, and it takes some time as well. But we are hoping that that this continues to become more clear as we continue to engage all the relevant stakeholders. Next slide, please. Not only in research do we have this coalition of the willing, and in industry to some extent, but also about the doctors. Where do we find the doctors in the clinic who are willing to set up a trial with this idea in mind? And for cancer of unknown primary, we're talking to the Dutch Cancer Institute, and for pancreatic angioblastoma, we're talking to the centers in Amsterdam and Rotterdam and Utrecht as well. So we have a lot of prominent scientists with whom we've talked about in this initiative. Our own Mark Lawler, we have presented the project to. So he is very keen to see how this all develops. So it started out with, we should maybe look into the Netherlands too. There is great enthusiasm. Maybe we need to look at this in terms of Europe-wide. But also UK interested, and now the US is also very interested to see how we could set up something like that, because it's sort of a collaboration that can prove a very important concept. Next slide, please. I think and just to give you just an overview of all of these partners. So we have informal agreements. We just haven't signed contracts, as I told you, but I have listed them in this way. A very important element will be to go for EU grants. So we're looking to do an application alongside other the companies that we mentioned, and to also the local governments, who are very, very keen to understand how they support personalized and precision medicine. So so this is what we've been working on. I actually for the past few months, and as you can see, it's taken. It started with that seed that we learned from the work that J. Kumar Menon was doing with Open Source Pharma. This is how we started thinking this is the name, but then we became very aware that the reality for oncology is a different one, and we want to actually shift toward patient-centric, that idea that the patient is the point of the part, and that should be incentivized. That's the whole idea that we want to promote with this company, and we want it to be a company because that way it would allow us to bring this innovation to all of our hubs. So that's the dream. That's our shared dream. So hopefully we can expand this proof of concept, this trial, and start to work also in the countries that you are working on in the near future. I really hope we do. So with that being said, the last slide to thank you all. I don't know if I got all of the languages, but I got some in there. And I see Peter, I'm sure you have an observation, and please go ahead. And Ingrid, the last slide is just for the thank you.
Excellent. You go ahead. Well, not a comment, but just to add some things. You saw certain companies working together with us, like Seekin, the company of Mao. You saw the name of Carla Hollack, a physician that I know very well, who is very, very well known in how to register medicines, and all this there is also for finding diagnostics who are very good and affordable for the 6.2 billion people that normally cannot afford good diagnostics. We saw a good example a month ago by Jochem Beltman, who showed us Screen and Treat. Well, the screening with vinegar for cervical cancer, well, you could say that costs 0.01 cent per woman. And I asked him how much cost is there involved in treating a woman who has really cervical cancer. And he always says, well, we can save one life for $10. But the work of genetic networks, drug profiling, for example, if we can have them on board and they can do their work, we find good and safe medicines who are cheap, affordable. And there are, of course, already two examples. One is lidocaine for treating pain in cancer caused by inflammation. Well, one of our patient advocates, Rob ten Brink, the anesthesiologist, explained that a couple of times, and he can, of course, explain that again and again and again to anesthesiologists in all the countries of the world, how to use lidocaine for treating pain, and not used by dentists only. Lidocaine is a good, a safe, a well-known and cheap medicine for treating pain. The other one is chlorambucil. Chlorambucil is off-label used here in the Netherlands by Sabine Lin, who is one of the best breast cancer physicians, well, at least in Europe and maybe in the world. She uses chlorambucil, and I think, and I'm now working on a session with Sabine Lin, how to get chlorambucil registered for BRCA mutated cancers so that it can be made available. Here in the Netherlands, buying it from a pharmacy company, it costs €300, which is pretty expensive still. But I can send to you a document written by Herman Otten about the formula magistralis. You can you can make the medicines in your own pharmacy by yourself, which and the legal things behind it are from the World Trade Organization, who say under some circumstances you can have the medicines needed in the hospital for your patient by yourself. Well, in that situation, chlorambucil will probably cost $10 or $20 per patient. Then it becomes affordable. It is completely legal. Herman has done a lot of work on that 2 years ago. We updated that document and we will publish it on our website through social media, but I can already share it with you immediately after this. So how to make it yourself and affordable. So what I learned from one of my mentors, which is Joep Lange, a HIV/AIDS researcher and physician, do your research and your work in the rich countries and then bring it to the people who really need it. Because we can, here in the Netherlands, of course, we can afford olaparib, which has more or less the same efficacy as chlorambucil. But olaparib here in the Netherlands costs €36,000 per patient per year, which is a no-go area for a lot of people in the world. So the work in open source pharma, and we're working on another name, but I really like Pierella said, please look at the talk of Jacoma Menon on our website, because it's an awesome talk. Yeah. The work of open source pharma is to find these medicines who can be used not only for the type of cancers that they are primarily being designed and developed, but also find medicines who have a kind of a second working or something like that, who can be used for other types of cancers.
And as in addition to that, Peter, it's not just that we have to make sure that there is access worldwide, even in the rich countries. Even in the rich countries, the healthcare budgets are being highly constrained. So even though we have these technologies, we can test patients, we just don't, and we cannot give them this medicine. So there is a lot of things we can learn about as to what is going wrong in the rich countries, and also just think, because you become sort of limited by that prosperity in a way. So which seems paradoxical, but it does. So by showing that we can actually use science and technology to the benefit of the global patient, you can actually show that in these countries that are not, where there are no competition, for example, with opiates, because they are also very expensive, and then you want to use lidocaine, which is very cheap, and you treat more efficiently, and you can actually show that these patients are doing better, they have better quality of life, they have better pain management. So they are not limited by all these competitions with other elements of the system. And we can benefit from that. We can actually show patient-centric is the way to go. It's about the person in front of me and what we can do for them, and not all of the other stuff going on. Gerrit.
Yes, thank you. Pierella, for your wonderful presentation. I know that it was a bit of a question like, hey, is this the platform to present this work? Because it sounds a little bit like a rich country's dream. But actually, I was thinking this through, that, and this is a very particular question. So, what kind of input would you need into this infrastructure to start the finding of a medicine? The reason why I'm asking it is that it could be the case that you get a tissue sample, say from Ghana, you get it to the Netherlands, or even you do it locally, and then you get access to an infrastructure. It could be in the US or in the Netherlands, and then that turns out to be this very cheap medication for this lady or boy from Ghana. Is that a correct way of looking at it?
Well, I think it's where it's going to move toward, because what we need is a lab that is capable of doing what it does. And I mean, let's not go too far. Mao, our own, World Campus Fellow, he's working on a multi-cancer early detection technology, which I think we really need him to present. And he's looking at this as a product which will serve the 6.2 billion people in the world. It's a cheap technology that looks at blood and, for example, Ghana, and then they can do the analysis, and then they find the right thing. So I am not the expert in that level, but we have learned, for example, from Beatrice, were you the one to tell us that the triple negative, or was it all Fumi who told us?
No. Yeah, we have quite a number of triple negative disease.
Yeah. So, and there is a lot of heterogeneity in Africa, where we can learn a lot from as well, and as we are mapping and learning from how is this disease evolving. But ultimately, it's incredible the logistics coordinate that well. If this work of collaboration, or for example, if we get the capabilities up and running to have a hub lab, you don't need labs in every village. This is the thing, and this is one of the problems also in big countries where there's a lot of money. You have labs doing different things everywhere, and so you don't get the whole picture for a lot of patients where you could, because of other types of constraints. So the better we get at managing the logistics and the capabilities of a hub lab, for example, to do this, I mean, it is great what we could do for patients everywhere.
Yes.
And it's possible. I think, Peter, you discussing with Mao how to coordinate, for example, a trial for multi-cancer early detection, where you use the technology from Mao in Africa, and how that will be coordinated, I think is the next step to figure out. But the thing here, it's important, Jan-Gerrit, is that if you have some sequence capabilities, you can learn a lot. And those sequence capabilities are the ones who provide the information to look for targets. I suppose it will work differently for the ex vivo models, where you do where you grow the organoids, or you do the tissue cultures. It's a bit of a different, but we will learn by doing, because if we wait until it's perfect, we're not going to do anything. So we need to really start momentum to be able, and the willingness is there, I'm sure, within our hub, talking among us with the different stakeholders, and understanding what is it what we need and how we can run with it, so to speak. Then we can get a lot more accomplished than what we do now, if we think, oh no, we have to wait until everything is perfect or arranged. That's not, it's a no-go area for patients who have no time. We need answers. We need to really have healthcare work for us as a society.
Okay, thank you, Pirella. Beatrice, you had a question?
Yes, not a question really, but to say that this is a very scientific and deep project. But I was looking at it from another angle, whether you could, let's take Ghana. So we are, the Peace and Love Hospital, we are doing some research with other institutions like IAC, Columbia University. And so we could see how we can collaborate with some of these things. Because now, the topic that has come up has a lot to do with genetic profiling of breast cancer, whether it's the tissue or whether it's blood sample. So can we have a shorter version of this idea so that we can discuss with our collaborators and see maybe there can be an interest from some other directions? So that is what I wanted to say.
I would love that, Beatrice. I would love that. I actually think that there is a lot of willingness for investment, for example. I heard that there was a lot of investment money going to labs for COVID testing worldwide, so in low and middle income countries. But because these investments were not done in collaboration and reciprocal interest with the local communities, all of this investment will be for nothing in a couple of years, because it's not sustainable, a lot of things going on. And what I see a lot of value here is, Beatrice, is you have already an operation, and we can find ways how we make sure that these developments are sustainable. And I'm sure there is great partners in pathology and worldwide entities who are looking into programs that can help and learn and all of that, where we need to discuss it. But I believe it's not as, it's probably very difficult, but if there is willing and you have the right people involved, you can get a lot achieved. And the fact that you like to look into this, I mean, of course, step number one is always prevention. We need to prevent, and that's the biggest. But when you have late stage disease, we need to also do something about it. We need to be able to do something about it. And if you do the sequencing technologies, you can also screen. So you do early detection, but if you do sequencing technologies, you also provide patients with late stage disease management, and is the same investment. So I would plead for us to talk about it, and I will provide you with a shorter version. I'm working actually on describing this in a shorter way, because as we want to get funding from the different entities, we need to keep the high level explanation of what we want to do, and a 2-pager, because otherwise we lose it. We lose them. We need to make it in a 2-pager. So that's what we're working on at this very moment.
Okay, thank you, Pierella. Gara, you had your hand up and you took it down again.
I did. But I will share. You put me on the spot. So, you know, I feel very happy to join the Biotech Atelier as well. That we, you know, it's been a pleasure. This morning there were quite a few speakers from Europe mostly, so it was the EU perspective. But of course, I mean, it is an EU meeting, but there was Pierre Merlin from the IMI, the initiative for the that has the new initiative, which is the IHI. It's the health initiative, and it's the innovative health initiative that is funded by the EU. And I think, you know, everything that you said right now kind of aligns with what he was saying as well. So and I think he's going to be on the same panel. Peter, do you know? I think I did not look for tomorrow, but I think he's going to be there. And I think it's somebody to maybe talk with as well.
I will look for it. I will look for it. Please continue, and I will look for it in the agenda of biotech. I have it here. So
it's Pierre Mullen from the IMI.
Yeah, I know him. I know him. Yeah.
Yeah. You know him, Peter. Yes, of course.
So the thing is here, and maybe you all have noticed that we have not engaged with pharmaceutical companies yet. Because we very purposely don't want to be about the compounds. I think that's a conversation that comes later. The Innovative Medicines Agency, of course, is getting the funding as well from a lot of pharmaceutical companies. So perhaps that gives us a neutral opportunity.
It is neutral, yeah, it is.
It's at the same time. So Peter, that's, I think, a good note. I've made the note, Gata. Thank you.
And there's another thing also, just one more thing, because when you mentioned the pharmaceutical industry as opposed to the investigator-initiated trials, which are quite big in Switzerland, so I'm not sure about the Netherlands, but the investigator-initiated clinical trials, for example, that start off, you know, anything that's not pharma, I mean, goes through with us, the investigator-initiated through academic centers. So that could be another thing as well.
Yeah, we've talked to them, but they are also, of course, running their own research programs. Yeah. So they feeling these calls to get certain budgets. Why it makes sense for them to partner with us is because some initiatives they cannot get off the ground. It's so difficult when you are also looking into repurposing compounds. So that's why they're also very interested to work with us in this public-private partnership, but also putting their capabilities available, so to help their own research programs. But yeah, so I think it's a very valuable thought.
Okay.
Duly noted.
Thank you so much, Pierella, and thank you from all of us for your excellent presentation. I think I learned again new things after the presentation of a couple of weeks ago. I liked very much the idea of the infrastructure, I must confess. And let's now move on to our next topic on the agenda. I don't see any new questions arising, so let's move on. Anyone who wants to be interested, you want to say something, Pierella?
Please don't forget to send me any ideas of names that you thought of as I was presenting. Thank you.
I almost forgot that. So if from now on till the end of this meeting you have a good idea, just, you know, break in. I'm fine with that. Feel free. Make it a shower, but you know, a drip, drip, drip is fine. Okay. Let's go on. I want to make some notes regarding the next year of our World Campus, and please feel free to comment. I have been giving it a hard time. I have given myself a hard time to write down, hey, what am I going to do as the chair of the World Campus in the next year, the second cycle? And I came to a number of tasks, and I want to share 3 with you. The first tasks I see happening, and this is something I will do with Peter. We already do it, but we want to intensify it, which is what I've called recruitment. So we want to improve our global presence. And there's one twist to it. And that's why I want to share this so explicitly with you. We want to help you all to create local capacity groups. If you have no idea what I mean, please ask. I will go on. The idea is that we help not only to improve our global reach, but also have a more fine-grained presence in all the regions and countries where we are now and where we are going to be. So we will, of course, ask your help with that, because then we have a new setting, namely where Peter and me and one of you are approaching someone and see if we can get them involved more locally. So that's the first task I have projected for myself. The second task I projected for myself is related to this one, and that's what I have called capacity building. I already used the word. It's a word that is known well in the World Health Organization. It's the word they use for, and this is my way of looking at it, for creating local groups of, let's say, 5 to maybe 10 or more people who together have the capacity to do projects, to set up programs, to find funding. So we want to help setting up these capacity groups and to support them through the knowledge we have as World Campus to get things going, like finding funding, like technical support if it is needed, like getting to work with an owl, to give just a simple example. It might be that we said we connect Guido to someone in, say, Nigeria who wants to learn how to use an owl. Right? Yes. Well, that's the kind of things that I'm thinking of. And I'm sure that something like that will soon happen when we have a meeting in Egypt, which is planned. And the same is true for Nigeria. So this is not entirely, out of the box. Actually, these are things that are coming. So that's the second task I put for myself. And I will also approach several of you to brainstorm with me about that and see how we go about it. I'm also looking at Pierella. Pierella is from Costa Rica. And also Maria, who is not here today, I think is also from Costa Rica. So we're also going to see what we can do in Costa Rica. And sadly, I missed a meeting on Monday of Pierella with Beatrice regarding how you can also set up volunteer groups, which is also, of course, a very important driving part of our organization. Then the third thing that I'm working on, and this is happening right now in real time, is how we get our affiliation with IARC going. Ilona put a lot of time in it. I saw that actually she communicated today with one of the people from IARC regarding the relationship building. I'm also very, very much into it. And we are now hoping to get things going in this fall or this winter. This is, to my mind, I said this more often, but I just share it with you just to get the notion through. Inspire2Live used to work with a big Dutch partner, and that was the Cancer Society of the Netherlands. And I think it's a very good idea to have also a huge, significant global partner that we can work with. So that's the idea of working with IARC, where we already had a setup of Partha giving his comments on several prevention projects. And the idea is that if we have this cooperation with IARC, we are more capable to create a trusted group to set up projects in many parts of the world. So and you were so kind, Pierella, to refer to my my update, where I wanted to tell you something about Inspire2Go. Inspire2Go is what I've called the executive branch. And you know, it's very important that when we have projects to be managed, that it is connected to a solid, trusted organization, where the management must be fully competent and fully transparent to make things going. So you now understand why I often speak of moving to a next level with the World Campus and with Inspire2Live. So far, we have done projects, but not in a systematic way as the way we are talking about it right now. So this is my note regarding the next year. Pierella, you have a question?
Yes, Jan-Gerrit, I of course, I'm very enthusiastic with your thoughts about expanding and all of that. And I just wonder how it works as, you know, we're dealing with the pandemic and about the purpose of expanding. Because, you know, I just, it's just not trying to slow down, but I think what will be my priority if I go for expanding, or I just try to set up a couple of successful projects. So we started this organic exchange, so to speak, with Ghana and Costa Rica, where we are discussing, well, how did you do that and how can we learn? But I also started conversations with them about, well, where is Costa Rica in terms of sequencing capabilities and all of that? I mean, because it's a country that's doing fairly well. So it could become a hub in a way for Latin America in terms of diagnostics. I mean, we need to figure it out. I still need to do a lot of digging. But if, let's say, if that is already project-based, that I look into it, and this is a way where we can expand the sort of exchanges between countries and sort of based on a project, is more purposeful than just expanding for the sake of getting a bigger blueprint. So I just curious about your thoughts about that.
Well, that's a very good point. And indeed, for me, the reason to move to this searching for more local partners, World Campus Fellows, if you like, I like that word a lot. I usually talk about hubs, is that that we have the experience now that if a hub is kept in place by too few people, it can be unstable. So suppose you get ill, Pierella, and you are away for a couple of months, then you would like to have a partner who can take over.
I understand. Okay, so it's not expanding massively to get all kinds of organizations, but to get more people involved within my hub. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
And I add one more thing, and that's why I refer to Guido. Thilo said, "Hey Jan, the one thing that's also very important is just to have a number of people with different kinds of competences, from being a good presenter, to being a good networker, to being somebody who can get an owl to work." Yes. So if you
it sounds so funny. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm using it, of course, as an example. I can see the owl still in front of me because, you know, we were kind of observed by this thing. You felt, at first I was feeling a little bit uneasy, I must confess.
I see a number, Jan-Gerrit, somebody's raising their hand.
Yes, sorry. So who is raising his or her?
Hannah is always 0114. No.
Yeah, I don't know your number, Hannah, so please go ahead.
Yeah, hi.
Hannah? I can't hear you.
She has a very bad connection. She's dropped off quite some times and returned. So maybe she's now dropped off and will return in a minute. And
let's move on. Hannah, if you come back to us, I'll give you space. So any more questions regarding my task list? No more? Okay. If you want to share your task list, please go ahead. Task list, please go ahead. And if not, I go on with our next point on the agenda. Some updates. This is a regular item. So I would like to turn. Is it Johanna?
No, Ripsime is entering.
Ah, hello, Ripsime. Welcome. Okay, meanwhile, Fiorella, you try to get Hannah type her question. I go on. So I want to move to the items of the updates. And I would like to ask you, Salome, to give us a brief update of your work in Nigeria.
Hello, good day, everyone, and welcome back from the World Congress that we missed, but actually participated in. Thank you so much for the summaries and all the pictures and everything. Nice to have you all back. Back here in Nigeria, the final note, my take home from that whole Congress meeting was the picture that came with awareness, education, prevention, and government on it. It gave me a better focus on what to do with my prevention plan and activities and how to go about them. So after the Congress, what we have done now is to now start getting the government truly involved in it so that the aspect of getting acceptance when the vaccines finally arrive will be easy. In my country, everyone knows that we have a gap in terms of implementation, despite our council plan and everything. There's a 6-year gap. And like us are trying to, we're trying to fill that gap. And that gap has to do with a lot of activities, getting government to buy into your own programs and also agreeing to go along with you after they've done their plans, which we are also part of formulating. However, what we have done so far from after the Congress is that we've engaged the legislature big time. And there is a Congress, there is a conference coming up on the 9th of November where they are going to launch the legislative magazine in Nigeria. It's going to be launched by the Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But guess what? What we have done here is that we have gone to the organizers of this conference and we have gotten a space between the speech of the Senate President and the actual activity of launching the magazine. We have a 30 minutes there where we are going to talk about cancer awareness and a need to include us in the plan of each Senate member and each House of Representative member. And the Senate will have 108 members and the legislature House of Rep will have 4 of them. So we are going to be looking at almost 1,000 parliamentarians to at least take 50 persons in their constituency to be part of these vaccines when they arrive. They have to budget for them. The government needs to approve that budget for them as being part of their expenditure for their local government projects, and then get signed off by the President of Nigeria. So that lobby is going on, and the space we've gotten to do the presentation on the 9th of November is really, really nice. Before the meeting started, I sent a picture of myself and the Director General of the National Orientation Agency of Nigeria. That is the official agency of Nigeria that has been mandated with telling people what the government wants them to do, buy into projects, and also come along with those projects. And they've agreed to take our campaign along with that. So we are going to produce video materials for them, and then we are going to label them with PECA and Inspire2Live for the federal government of Nigeria to carry on the platform of the National Orientation Agency to run nationwide. And that distribution is going to be done between us and the National Orientation Agency and the Nigerian Television Authority, which has the biggest structure for television broadcast in Nigeria. That aside, the legislature also have agreed that they are going to make it mandatory for members of the legislature to ensure that in each of their budgets, health takes a major budget. However, the part that the treatment of cancer, management of cancer would take is something to be looked at. However, we are sure that cervical cancer is going to be first because it is preventable. It is possible to eradicate it over time. And so they are going to drive that nail harder into the box so that people get used to it while we wait for the vaccines to arrive and the budget to do all of that. So basically, what we've been able to carry home is that it's important to enter the EPIC, that is the acronym that actually buy in wholesale, so that even at their own sessions there is no argument and driving themselves like yo-yos before they sign on. The good thing is that the DG has agreed that if there should be a need for him to defend what we're talking about for children right now in the parliament, he's going to sit in and talk on our behalf. And that anything we need to present at that level, he's ready to go with us. That was what we got yesterday, but we're going to raise up papers. We're going to sign on MOUs to confirm that they're really committed to this, and that is going to help us drive our advocacy and sensitization bid in the prevention and action campaign. So we have just taken one notch above what we were doing before the Congress in Amsterdam, and like I said, what came out as a picture and as an entertainment to us has become a major focus driver, and we're working all we can to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. Yes. Please. I still have fresh in my memory how you almost stranded in Denmark, right?
Yeah.
So that you come, you had almost made it. But this awesome work. Thank God. So we will soon come back to that. But let's first move on to our next item. Pain trial, Peter. Could you tell us something about that?
Yeah, shortly, because next Tuesday, Henk and I have a meeting with the clinical researcher in the Amsterdam Medical Center for an update. And I think I will be a little bit dissatisfied because it's going much too slow. The patient that has been treated with lidocaine in that clinical trial was successfully treated. So in the first patient it works, but we need 15 patients in total, and which well, if it's one patient in 4 months, you can see that it will take 3 or 4 years, and that's much too long. So next Tuesday, Henk and I will discuss that. How can we speed up that? Because it are in that trial, and I think there was something going wrong in that trial, are only not metastasized pancreatic cancer patients. Well, as we know, most pancreatic cancer patients are metastasized and suffer from pain. So that is probably that we can probably repair that. The other good news is that Rob ten Brink, the anesthesiologist, is still working with patients with metastasized pancreatic cancer patients and lidocaine, and is successful in that. And I think that, well, Henk van Kranen, you, Jan, and Rob ten Brink should think of setting up a webinar or a professional talk available on our website whatsoever to bring information in a solid way to everybody who wants to know more about lidocaine and cancer and pain. But I think that is something that we can do separately. But I really feel an urge to make the information in a more professional way available for who wants to see how it works. And of course, we want Rob ten Brink hop on the plane, go to Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, Armenia, wherever, and train the trainer in the use of lidocaine.
Thank you, Peter. That's good to hear that there is, despite the slowness, a lot of progress too. Yeah. Beatrice, you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to say that the use of xylocaine is not only for the dentist. It's also used for hernia repairs. So then lidocaine is used for some other things.
Yeah.
But for its use, especially in cancer care, in pain management, is something that we have to look at critically. And we have spoken to some anesthetists who are interested. So I'm sure the next webinar I can also hear from the other anesthetists and see how we can. I believe in starting something, you know, and looking at the effect that is going to have for our people. Sometimes we keep too long in the laboratories, we keep too long on the research thing, and people are suffering because we don't have that good pain management. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Dave. I think it is so important to have also this voice heard from people like patients you treat and everyone else, that there is a huge need for this. I think we have a struggle that I would share with you, and where you may actually be helpful in, is we haven't found yet IARC also this in there is some sound from my side.
No, I think
your voice is breaking. I think yeah, and your voice is breaking. It's not clear.
Can you hear me now?
You're audible, but it's not clear.
So
I think now it's better.
Okay. Yeah, I don't get any when my network capacity is down or going down or gets low. I see it, but it doesn't indicate it.
No. Not everybody was muted, and now I muted all the other people. So please, you should continue, Jan. Yeah.
I'll repeat myself. So Beatrice, thank you for your question and remarks. We will need people like you to make this point, and I would also discuss with you the point of making it maybe a priority for IARC. My impression is, and I confess I haven't done a very thorough search, but my impression is that pain management is not something that they have high on their agenda yet. So if there's one thing that I want them to get from us, it's pain management. Yeah. We try too hard to align with their work by focusing on prevention, mobilizing knowledge, by taking on cervical cancer, breast cancer, HPV-related cancers in general. So we are really moving into strengthening and boosting their objectives. Nivedita, you also have a question.
Not question, maybe while Peter was speaking, I missed a couple of things. So Peter, is it a long-term trial, this lidocaine, or just a short term, and how many patients you have enrolled? Is it an academic trial, or what kind of trial is this?
15 patients with pancreatitis and 15 patients with pancreatic cancer. So in total 30, 15.
Okay, and is it any phase, like you define them as phase 2B, 3, something like that? Or
three.
It's a phase 3 trial. Okay. And the outcome, they're encouraging, right? That's what you have been saying. The outcome is encouraging in terms of using the lidocaine as a pain management. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And I think this has been going on for a long time. And so what is the duration? Like they're taking it on a daily basis along with other medications. So how does it work actually?
One or two
the therapy.
One or two doses via the tube.
Okay. And that is per month or week or something like that? Like how frequently one needs to get?
Only 1, 2 or 3 times. It depends, of course, on the level of pain, but it's 1 or 2 or 3 times treatment, and then you're done.
During the whole cancer therapy, right? That's what you mean to say. Well,
that sounds pretty tough, but during the rest of your life. I mean, all these patients are, of course, metastasized. So at a certain moment, the liver stops working and the patients will die. But mostly patients get opiates, which immediately start decreasing the quality of life. And pretty soon, and of course, that also depends on the level of the pain, but pretty soon when you have heavy pain, you have so much opiates that the quality of life is close to zero. and these people then choose for euthanasia. Lidocaine takes away the pain, so that means that your life is extended till the moment your liver stops working.
Okay. No, I think this is pretty encouraging, and you need to like kind of extend it to more a patient community to see how it is working, and then bring it as an intervention for pain management.
Yeah, I think that the moment Rob ten Brink gave that presentation, that was quite some months ago. You were not part of the group already. Okay. So I will take care that you get his presentation, and I will connect you with Rob.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
Thank you, liebe Dieter, for these valuable questions.
Yeah.
Very much clarifies also what's going on. So I move to the next item. I'm now speaking on behalf of Lydia. Her XP project is now on hold, let's put it that way. Lydia has had to decide to first prioritize herself finding work, and also, well, let's say coping with the rather strange situation in Brazil with a head of state called Bolsonaro. And my impression is, these are my words, is that this president creates a lot of fear in the people of Brazil. Very bad. And I perfectly understand that Lydia now has to prioritize her primary life. And I'm staying in contact with her through email and WhatsApp. And I hope that at some point she feels again free and able and comfortable to join us again. If any one of you want to approach her, just do it. I see that Barbara and Mark have to leave. Barbara and Mark, thank you for being here today with us. I now move on to the next item. That's the outreach to patients in Beirut. Hannah, you were in Chicago most of the time, now in Beirut. Can you give us an update? Hannah, can you hear me?
Yes, she is there, but she's muted.
Hannah, can you unmute yourself?
Hi.
Yes.
So, yeah, hi. So I hope it won't cut off like it just did like 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I was in Chicago, but I was in permanent contact with my team in Beirut because the situation is so bad, and our mission, which started as only awareness and giving fit test, it changed to asking. Everyone is asking for medications, from pain like Panadol to Xyloda to cancer treatment. So everything is nothing is present here, and everything I brought with me two luggages. I paid for extra luggage just to bring some medications for people. So we are not doing any like kind of awareness now. We're just helping people. And but in the meantime, I was approached by the committee, the GI people from the MENA region, and there was a GI summit in Beirut, a virtual GI summit, and they wanted the Said NGO to be this. They wanted to do to put some guidelines for treatment and for follow-up, like with oncologists, and they wanted us to be supervisors as patient representatives. So it was a good opportunity to meet many oncologists from the MENA region. And now we are trying to join forces with them and to do something in the whole area, not in Lebanon, because in Lebanon the funding is not present, and nothing is here. And fortunately, one thing more, we were approached by one oncologist from Abu Dhabi. She's Lebanese. But she's working there, and they offered Lebanon 10 bone marrow transplant for any patient, for 10 patients, which is good because it's much needed. They offer the whole surgery, the invitation to stay there, and the ticket, and one caregiver to go with them. And they contacted me to spread the word among oncologists and people. So that's it. And I'm excited for this the capacity building that Jan mentioned, because we need this capacity building a lot in Side NGO. And thank you. I'm so happy to be part of this Inspire2Live and World Campus. And I enjoyed the presentation of Pierella and everything. Thank you very much. The pain management, we are looking for the pain management, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm glad that you're happy with the capacity building work that we are planning. So we will soon connect with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next item is the registry from Armenia. Ripsime is thrown out.
Yes, she is not. No, she is not in the call, Jan.
Yes, I have meanwhile said, well, please call me, Ripsime. So she tried 5 times now to call me, and every time there is a connection, it goes down. So there is a network problem. She is now sending me a message. Let's just see what she writes. So please, Gada, would you tell us about your work in Egypt, maybe together with Ezra? You have to unmute.
Well, I was actually waiting for you to give us first kind of like a concept note on capacity building and the maybe some broad outlines on it. Of course, the idea as a concept sounds perfect for me, but I don't know whether I can give you I can fall into that capacity building where we stand. I like the idea, but we haven't formulated any specific plans as yet. The idea that Isra is on the ground in Egypt and is incredibly active and incredibly educated in the field of patient inclusion and research is the actually largest, I would say, reward right now. I think incredibly highly of her, and so if you were to say the capacity building group is building, with Isra being present is huge. We talk often, and we have we meet quite a lot, Isra and I. So we discuss it a lot. We are putting a plan. We are thinking about it. Had to have a concrete plan, but we need to understand a little more about what Inspire2Live and us, we as Inspire2Live, how we can structure it in a, not in a guidelines kind of way or anything of the sort, but in a concept first off, so that we can maybe fill in the blanks. But your idea of having 10 people makes perfect sense. 10 relevant, different capacities, different types of people in the group is very important. So we're building on that. But as for now, it's just Isra and I, and a couple of initiatives in Cairo that we can talk about later. But I really think that structuring the concept first is very important.
So just stay on the line. So thank you so much, Gada. I'm now moving to Ripsime, and she cannot have a network connection with us. However, I have her on the phone, so I now put her on the microphone, and I will let her speak. And let's see if you can hear. Yeah, it's a trick, but I hope it works. Hello, Ripsime, can you speak?
Yeah.
I put you on as loudly as possible. So just speak.
So are you already on the loudspeaker?
Yes. Can you hear her? You can speak now.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It is an afternoon in Armenia. I imagine it is again an afternoon in Europe and in other countries. It is morning. Because I was disconnected, I'm not sure which part of the discussion I'm now being connected to.
It's the items list where you give us an update on your work in Armenia.
Okay, the update on the cancer registry work in Armenia is that we were waiting for very long for the approval project that we designed together with the Netherlands Cancer organization. And imagine we did not get that approval. Our project was rejected with no sensible explanation of the reasons why it was rejected. We, in spring and summer, in a team, we spent a lot of time for joint meetings with IARC representatives and the Netherlands Cancer Organization, and we designed a proposal that had very high probability of being approved, and we managed to supply 4 endorsement letters from the Ministry of Health in Armenia, from Inspire2Live naturally.
هظبطه يا إسراء. أنا كنت قاعد مع عماد شاشة النهارده الصبح في المعهد بدري، وقلت له بنظبط كده كام حاجة عشان هو عنده برضه حوار تاني جديد هنكلمك عليه أنا وعلي، فهنشوف كده.
Mute from your side, okay.
Please, you have to repeat the last 2 sentences because there was some interference here.
Okay, so together with the proposal, we submitted 4 endorsement letters from the Ministry of Health, Inspire2Live, IARC, and Netherlands Cancer Organization to make our project as solid as possible. But regardless of all the efforts, whatever we did in a team, and the team included also representatives from IARC, the project was not approved and we did not get funding. We had a discussion with Jan a few days ago. What is our vision of what we are going to do next? And we decided, and also the team discussed in Armenia, what are our chances to proceed with the project. And we decided that we have a ready design project that we can try to find funding in different places. So we will have to be watchful against any funding opportunity being announced that suits the cause for data or cancer registries or something close enough so that we are able to submit this proposal, maybe doing some little amendments and adjustments, but still submitted as the genuine idea of another project proposal to get some funding. So that is it, I believe.
Thank you so much, Ripsime. That's yes. You told me a few days ago that the situation was. I thought it was right that you would break this information here today. Are there any responses from our world campus right now? I see people sighing deeply.
Sad, yeah, sad news, yeah.
It's very disappointing and it's very encouraging situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's, because we worked very hard in terms of getting very proper political moves in engaging key people from IARC to be on our side and to guide us in developing and designing the proposal so that it meets every type of need and requirement, whatever the donors and the authority in terms of IARC would be interested to see and then approve. But no matter how hard we try, it didn't work. I think we will have to try to understand what could have gone wrong, so that led to rejecting this project. That it will happen in parallel. But the primary goal is, since we have an already designed proposal, we will be looking for funding in other places.
Okay, thank you, Ripsime. Yes, you sent me also the letter where the rejection is written. It's a very short letter. And what surprised me deeply, that it says something like, hey, don't even try to figure out why you don't get the money. Is that right?
Yeah. Because of the very high number of applications, we are so busy that we will not be able to get back to you with the causes of rejection, something like that.
Yes. And another thing that I observed was that while they announced that somewhere around the 15th of September they would announce whether you got it or not, it took 10 days longer. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So that you and I speculated about what that would mean. So it could mean that there were indeed so many applications, and you were actually selected as one of the projects to be a legitimate project to finance, and then maybe it's just through chance that you didn't get the money. But it's very uncomfortable that we can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It feels so not transparent, Jan, as well, because you would think it's not extra work. If you are reviewing the applications, you already are listing why you don't want that application. Unless you at all didn't review it, then you need to say something like that. But it makes very for a non-transparent process. And I think, given the nature of the organization, we do deserve some explanations, because transparency is one of the reasons these organizations need to exist.
So there is no explanation why it got rejected? Means the reviewers' comments or something?
No.
Jan?
No, I'll answer on behalf of Ripsime. No, that we didn't get any information. As said, they wrote a very short letter, very clear English. Even very young people understand exactly what it says, namely, don't even try to contact us to figure out why you don't get the money.
Oh, that's very rude. How
Well,
can somebody do?
It's really like that. If you read it like, huh? It can't be true. And it's so much in contrast with the earlier phase where there was possibility to contact an official from Bloomberg who was very helpful. So it's strange.
Yeah, that's okay. I think all this, this proposal writing, getting funding, it's a very big challenge, and
yes,
it's a really pain in the neck. But that's okay. We have to keep doing it. One good thing is that because this proposal is already written, so maybe you can find out some other funding opportunity and
So what I'm now going to do,
tweak it a bit. But then if there is no reviewers' comments, you cannot also tweak it. But if you can add something to make it more strong or something like that, add some further elements and then submit.
Exactly, Nibidi.
Jan?
Yes?
Jan?
Can you hear?
I think issue Ariana and Les.
Yes.
Try to understand what could have gone wrong. Just like some background information behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Maybe like off the record, they would like to share something with us so that we learn our lesson well. And for the next round of seeking funding, we are more experienced. If there is some sensible and balanced explanation why the proposal was rejected.
Yeah.
Or if they own that kind of information, because then they may try to keep the neutral and say that, well, this is the donor's decision and we have no idea. But I am pretty sure that they have been contacted to ask an opinion from them.
Yes. So let's agree right now that I will set up this meeting with the people from IARC and with us. We will also, of course, ask ICO. Aiko had a health problem, so I need to check with him whether he's already available again. He had apparently he had a concussion, and he's now home recovering. So shall we leave it to that for now? So yes, well, we're all with you, and we will not stop. We will get this going.
Hugs to solidarity. Bitter news to chew, especially for you, but we are in solidarity with you.
Please, Pierella is saying something. Please say it again, Pierella, because these were two parallel voices. So Pierella, go ahead.
Ripsime, just want to send you a hug from all of us of solidarity. It's very bitter news, and we understand how much work you've put on it, so especially for you, but we feel with you, so receive our solidarity.
Thank you very much. I didn't get the message in its entirety, but I know there was something about a hug, which I appreciate.
It was the most important word.
Yes, we are one family, and we have to move forward.
Okay, so
thank you very much.
So Ripsime, thank you so much. Yes, I'm glad I could do this.
Having me connected.
Yes, of course. So I will now disconnect and I will go on with the meeting. So if we are going to close in a minute, so you don't need to take the pains to get into the meeting again. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay. Yes, well, yeah, I chose not to share this information before because I thought, it's up to Ripsime to break this information. It's how we function, I think. We are a family, and the people who care for a project are the people who share the information. I must say I was pretty shocked, but we go on. So it's now 5 o'clock here. And I propose that despite there still being one item regarding the laser beam projects, we do this next time. The laser beam projects have all been presented very thoroughly a couple of weeks ago. And I apologize to those who did the presentation for torturing them with giving several, not just one presentation. Beatrice, you were even tortured double by giving you a long presentation.
It's a pleasure for me.
So we will contact all of you in the next few weeks to make a moving forward. We are also now, in this next level. So we are also kind of, finding out how to do things. I would like to make the following remark. For the next World Campus meeting of October. It's the last Wednesday of October. Right now, don't ask me which day of October, but I have the very good news that we have Walter Longo then as presenter. And for those of you who don't know Walter Longo, Peter, just give a 30 seconds story who Walter is.
His name is Walter with a V, Longo, and he is a specialist in nutrition. He's well known for dietary restrictions as a help for the efficacy of treatments of chemotherapy. So say it a bit popular, if you for 5 days before your chemotherapy have only 1,000 calories a day, the treatment will improve, and there have been several clinical trials that prove his method. So he's well known for his intermittent fasting method as an assist for chemotherapy treatments.
That's a very nice introduction. So unless anyone wants to break in, anyone has finally found the perfect name for Pierella's project, and if not, I'm so disappointed.
They can also send it later. Imagine if they get inspired this evening.
I was not there, Pierella, for your presentation, so I joined 1 hour later. So maybe I just heard you a little bit, but couldn't get anything. I will go through the recording and get back.
Good.
And you and Jay Kumar's work were the seed actually who was planted, which was planted for us to. So I suppose you'd like that.
Sure.
So,
looking forward to your presentation.
So Nivedita, if you have the perfect team, we will all hear it soon. So hereby I end this World Campus Meeting 2.1, and then in October, end of October, we have our second World Campus Meeting 2.2. So thank you so much all for your presence, and some of you I may see tomorrow at the Biotech Atelier in Bulgaria. For those of you who are there, see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.